Lots of discussion about Canada Post, its role in our lives, and the Postal Workers Union, as the country has been put on notice by the corporation that they may lock out its employees as early as Friday. Now, if you are like me and don't really rely on daily mail service very much, I doubt we'll have to adjust our lives significantly. But the impact for businesses could be significant. There will undoubtedly be a lot of discussion in the media in the coming days and weeks should an arrangement not be met between the union and the corporation. So I've come up with a few points which the media may or may not cover. First is to do with the negotiations. Well, the union's major claim is that there's a significant pay equity gap between men and women. And on the surface, this looks true. It's not the complete story. You see, the demographics within the company show that women tend to dominate the rural routes for mail carriers, while men generally outnumber female mail carriers in urban centers. And what do we know about wages in urban centers? Well, they are generally higher than their rural counterparts to account for the higher cost of living. Plus, we cannot forget that many of the rural mail routes are used less commonly, and therefore they do not require full-time employees. Second, did you know that Canada is the only Western nation without Saturday mail service? Well, it's true. And that's simply because the union refuses to give in on that issue. Sadly, it's one issue that shows there's a complete lack of realism and foresight by the union. Letter mail is dying. There's only a real future with parcel mail, and as we get even more interconnected through our technology, there will be demand for Saturday service and other flexible services from Canada Post. I am pretty convinced, though, that many of the problems that I've outlined could pretty much be corrected if the government repealed the Canada Post monopoly on mail service. You see, under the Canada Post Corporation Act, it mandates that no other service, like a UPS or a FedEx or any courier, can deliver mail for anything less than 3 times the cost of a stamp. This will leave Canadians who use letter mail, most likely businesses, with little choice but to pay more should there be a work stoppage coming up. But it also restricts the free market and the alternatives to Canada Post. You see, Canada Post actually directly competes with people like FedEx and UPS because they use Purolator, their own courier company, to compete against their competition, while their competition can't compete against them due to this silly law. I know, it's strange. Lastly, though, and most importantly probably, is to realize just what the Canadian Postal Worker Union is, and that is an extremely controversial organization. You see, over the years, CUPW has funded a plethora of controversial causes. In fact, the union publishes a women's newsletter known as The Rose, and in 2013 it claimed that Canada is, quote, allowing Israel to terrorize occupied people, breach international law, normalize home demolitions, and steal resources. How's that for anti-Semitic? But it goes further than just that. In fact, back in 2008, the union was the first in Canada to label Israel an apartheid state and call for a boycott of Israeli goods. Now, these anti-Israel activities are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to CUPW's activism. Perhaps you recall in 2011 when Ruth Breen, a mail carrier from Fredericton, organized a sit-in of other mail carriers at a Conservative Party constituency office. They actually refused to leave until the police had to come, and some were even heard shouting, "Heil Harper." Just disgusting. Or how about how union delegates from Canada Post have actually been spotted at May Day parades in Cuba? Yeah, you heard me correctly. In fact, the former president of the union, Denis Lemelin, told the National Post in 2006, quote, "It is vital that we affirm our support for the Cuban people and revolution even more clearly and openly." Of course, if that wasn't enough, they've openly wrote letters of support on behalf of their 45,000 members, defending Hugo Chavez as a democratic champion. As you can see, this is clearly not a union worthy of our sympathy. They don't get it. They don't have the best interests of their members at heart when they waste so much money and time on Gaza politics or defending various socialist dictators around the world. And while you can see there will be blame to go around between the union and some of the stupid laws we have in the city defending Canada Post, It is the fact that the Canadian Union of Postal Workers is so radical that disturbs me, and it should disturb you as a Canadian who pays for them. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.